The derelict space station Helios 7 spun lazily in the purple nebula light, its broken sections trailing debris like cosmic breadcrumbs. Rook Blackwood guided his salvage ship, the Wanderlust, through the wreckage with practiced ease, his calloused hands steady on the controls despite the persistent tremor in his left arm, a souvenir from his last close call with station security. Station pressure reading 0, no energy signatures, he muttered to himself, a habit born from years of solo salvage runs. His dark eyes scanned the holographic readouts floating before him, searching for any sign of valuable tech among the ruins. Looking like another dead-end old girl. The Wanderlust systems chirped in response, the ship's basic AI acknowledging his words without truly understanding them. Rook had never bothered with a more sophisticated companion program. Too many salvagers got weird after spending years talking to machines that talked back. He was about to turn back when something caught his eye, a faint shimmer in the station's medical bay, barely visible through the cracked observation windows. Most people would have missed it, but Rook had spent 15 years in the void learning its tricks and tells. That wasn't ordinary reflection from the nebula. Well, well, he whispered, maneuvering the Wanderlust closer. What are you hiding? The docking procedure was tricky with half the station's clamps missing, but Rook managed it, using the ship's magnetic locks to create a stable seal. He checked his environment suit seals twice, another habit that had kept him alive before cycling through the airlock. The station's corridors were a maze of shadows and floating debris. His boots' magnetic soles kept him anchored as he moved, the soft thump of each step echoing through his helmet. The medical bay was 3 sections ahead, assuming the station's layout matched standard Federation designs. The shimmer grew stronger as he approached, taking on a crystalline quality that made his skin prickle. This wasn't normal salvage. He'd heard stories of crystalline life forms from the outer rim, but they were supposed to be myths, tall tales told by spacers who'd had too much synthetic whiskey. The medical bay's doors were jammed halfway open. Rook squeezed through, his light illuminating a scene that made him freeze. Floating in the center of the room was a humanoid figure, but unlike any human he'd ever seen. Her form was semi-transparent with a core of swirling light that pulsed weakly. Crystal formations extended from her body like delicate wings, some of them cracked and damaged. Her features were ethereally beautiful but twisted in pain. She opened her eyes, they were like diamonds catching starlight, and saw him. Terror flashed across her face, and she tried to push away, but her movements were weak and uncoordinated. Easy there, Rook said, knowing she probably couldn't understand him, but hoping his tone would carry the meaning. I'm not here to hurt you. The crystalline being trembled, emitting a soft chiming sound that made his teeth ache. He recognized fear when he saw it, regardless of the species displaying it. Rook slowly removed his helmet, a risky move in an unpressurized station, but his suit would compensate for a few minutes. He wanted her to see his face, to understand he wasn't wearing the faceless masks of whatever had hurt her. My name is Rook, he said, pointing to himself. You're injured, I have a ship, I can help. The being's glow flickered, and she made another chiming sound, this one weaker. She was dying, he realized. Whatever had happened here had damaged her severely. Making a decision that would change both their lives, Rook activated his suit's emergency stasis field and carefully extended it around her. The crystalline being's eyes widened as the field enveloped her, but she didn't resist. I'm going to move you to my ship, he explained, more for his own benefit than hers. Just stay calm. The journey back to the Wanderlust was tense. Every sound made him jump, expecting corporate security or scavenger crews to appear. The crystalline being remained still in the stasis field, her glow pulsing in time with what he assumed was her heartbeat. Once aboard, he sealed her in his ship's medical pod, an expensive piece of equipment he'd salvaged from a luxury liner. It was designed to handle multiple species, and after some adjustment, it began administering treatment to stabilize her condition. As the pod worked, the being's eyes locked onto his. Her fear remained, but something else had joined it, curiosity, perhaps even hope. She raised a crystalline hand and pressed it against the pod's transparent surface. After a moment's hesitation, Rook placed his hand against the other side. A tingling sensation ran up his arm, and in his mind, he heard a voice like wind through crystal chimes. I am Naira, thank you. The connection broke as she slipped into healing sleep, leaving Rook standing there staring at his hand. 15 years of salvage runs, and he'd never found anything like this. He knew he should probably turn her in. There would be a reward, maybe enough to finally buy that retirement dome on Mars he'd been dreaming about. But as he watched her float in the healing fluid, her crystal wings slowly mending, he knew he wouldn't. Some things were worth more than credits. "Rest easy, Naira," he said softly, beginning the undocking sequence. "We'll figure this out together." The Wanderlust pulled away from Helios 7, carrying its unlikely pair of occupants into the purple-tinged void. Behind them, the derelict station continued its eternal dance, keeping its remaining secrets in the silence of space. Rook set a course for the outer territories, where questions were fewer and authorities more distant. He had no idea what he was getting into, but something told him this was more than just another salvage run. This was the beginning of something bigger than himself, bigger than his lonely existence in the void. As if agreeing, the Wanderlust's engines hummed a little stronger, carrying them deeper into the unknown, where destiny awaited with open arms and sharp teeth. 3 days into their journey, Rook discovered that healing a crystalline being was nothing like patching up human wounds. The medical pod's soft blue light pulsed in rhythm with Naira's core, creating patterns that danced across the Wanderlust's cramped medical bay. He sat in his worn pilot's chair, which he dragged next to the pod, watching as tiny fractures in her crystalline form slowly knit themselves back together. "Your readings are all over the place," he muttered, studying the incomprehensible data scrolling across his screens. "But at least you're stable." Naira's eyes fluttered open, their diamond-like surfaces catching the pod's light. The telepathic connection they'd shared earlier was weaker now, coming in fragments like broken transmissions. "Danger, must warn, the harmony." "Save your strength," Rook said, placing his hand against the pod's surface. "We're heading to a trading post I know. Friend of mine there, Jasper, she's good with exotic biology. Maybe she can." A proximity alert blared through the ship's speakers. Rook cursed, jumping to his feet and rushing to the cockpit. 3 ships had dropped out of hyperspace behind them, sleek corporate vessels with predatory lines. "Unidentified vessel," a cold voice crackled over the comm. "This is Security Chief Darius of the Obsidian Corporation. You are carrying stolen property. Power down and prepare for boarding." Rook's fingers flew over the controls, plotting an escape route. Stolen property? That's rich coming from Corp raiders. He opened a private channel to his ship's AI. "Time to earn your keep, old girl. Give me everything you've got." The Wanderlust's engines roared to life, and Rook threw them into a spiral that would have torn apart a lesser ship. The corporate vessels followed, their superior engines quickly closing the gap. Energy pulses designed to disable his systems crackled past the viewport. In the medical bay, Naira stirred, her crystalline form resonating with the ship's vibrations. "They seek, the knowledge must not." Her mental voice faded again, but the fear in it was clear. "Not planning to let them get it," Rook assured her, though she probably couldn't hear him. He had questions, dozens of them, but they'd have to wait. Right now, survival was the priority. He dove the Wanderlust into a dense debris field, remnants of some ancient battle. The corporate ships followed, their pilots skilled but cautious. Rook had no such reservations. He'd spent years in fields like this, learning every trick for threading the needle between deadly obstacles. "Come on, you sleek bastards," he muttered, weaving through a cluster of twisted metal. "Let's see how much your fancy ships are worth when." An explosion rocked the Wanderlust as one of the energy pulses found its mark. Warning lights flashed across his console. Main power dropped, leaving them drifting in space. "No, no, no," Rook slammed his fist against the controls. "Not now, girl, don't fail me now." In the medical bay, something extraordinary happened. Naira's crystal form began to pulse with intense light, resonating with the ship's damaged systems. Energy flowed from her into the Wanderlust circuits, and suddenly the engines roared back to life, stronger than before. "Help you," her mental voice was strained but determined. "Together." Understanding flooded through Rook. Her crystalline nature wasn't just biological, it was technological too, capable of interfacing with and enhancing machines. No wonder the corporations wanted her. With Naira's energy amplifying his ship's systems, Rook pulled off maneuvers that should have been impossible. They danced through the debris field, leaving their pursuers struggling to keep up. One corporate vessel clipped a floating section of hull, spinning out of control. Another had to pull back to avoid collision. The last pursuer, likely carrying Security Chief Darius himself, stayed on their tail with grim determination. But Rook had one last trick, a risky hyperspace calculation that would take them through the edge of a nearby nebula. "This might hurt," he warned both to Naira and his ship. Then he punched it. The Wanderlust screamed as reality twisted around them. For a moment, everything was light and pressure and the sensation of being turned inside out. Then they burst back into normal space, alone among the stars. Rook sagged in his chair, exhaustion hitting him like a physical blow. In the medical pod, Naira's glow had dimmed to almost nothing, but her vital signs remained stable. She'd saved them both at great cost to herself. He made his way back to the medical bay on shaky legs. "Thank you," he said softly, touching the pod's surface. "I don't know what you are or why they want you so badly, but I promise you this, I'm not letting them get their hands on you." Naira's response was faint but clear: trust given, trust earned. Over the next few days, as they limped toward Jasper's trading post, Rook spent hours by the pod talking to Naira. Sometimes she responded with fragmentary thoughts, other times with pulses of color that he began to recognize as emotions. He told her about his life as a salvager, about leaving Earth when the corporations started taking over, about learning to survive in the void. In return, she shared glimpses of her own world, a crystalline planet where her people lived in vast geometric cities, sharing thoughts and energy in a great communal consciousness they called the Harmony. But there was darkness in her memories too, shadows of betrayal and conflict that she wasn't ready to fully reveal. "We'll figure it out," Rook assured her one night, as distant stars painted patterns across the medical bay floor. "Whatever's hunting you, whatever secrets you're carrying, we'll face it together." Naira's glow brightened slightly, and a new pattern of colors rippled through her form: trust, gratitude, and something else. Something that made Rook's heart beat a little faster. The wanderlust carried them onward through the star-scattered dark, its system still humming with traces of Naira's power. They were fugitives now, hunted by one of the most powerful corporations in known space. But for the first time in years, neither of them was alone. And sometimes Rook was beginning to learn that made all the difference. Jasper's trading post hung in the shadow of a shattered moon, its mismatched sections cobbled together from salvaged ship parts and station debris. As the wanderlust approached, Rook couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. But Naira's condition was deteriorating, her crystal form developing hairline fractures that the medical pod couldn't heal. "Just hold on," he whispered, guiding his ship toward a docking port that looked older than he was. "Jasper's the best biosynthetic engineer in the Outer Rim, if anyone can help. Others, like me," Naira's mental voice was stronger now but fragmented. "Here, before." Rook's hands froze on the controls. "What do you mean others like you, here?" Before she could respond, a familiar voice crackled over the comm. "Rook Blackwood, you magnificent bastard, I was wondering when you'd show up." Jasper's gravelly tone carried equal parts amusement and warning. "Brought me something interesting, I hope." "You could say that," Rook chose his words carefully. "Got a passenger needs medical attention, exotic biology's thought of you." A long pause followed. When Jasper spoke again, her voice was lower, serious. "Docket Bay 7, come alone, and Rook, watch your back, station's crawling with Corp agents lately." The docking procedure took longer than usual, Rook's paranoia making him triple-check every seal and sensor. Finally satisfied, he returned to the medical bay where Naira floated in the pod, her glow pulsing weakly. "I need to carry you," he explained, beginning the pod's shutdown sequence. "Can't exactly roll you through the station without attracting attention." Naira's form shimmered in understanding. As the pod opened, she attempted to stand but stumbled. Rook caught her, surprised by how light she was despite her crystalline nature. Her touch sent tingles through his arms, and fragments of thoughts and emotions brushed his mind. "Trust you," the words came clearer with direct contact, "but others cannot know the truth." "What truth?" Rook asked, but she had already slipped into a semi-conscious state, her core dimming. He wrapped her in a salvager's cloak, hopping to hide her crystalline nature, and made his way through the station's winding corridors. Every shadow seemed to hold potential enemies, every passing stranger a possible corporate spy. Jasper's clinic occupied a converted cargo bay, its walls lined with medical equipment both ancient and cutting-edge. The woman herself stood waiting, her dark skin marked with circuitry-like augmentations, her cybernetic eyes whirring as they focused on Naira. "Well," Jasper breathed, "this explains the corporate activity." She gestured to an examination table. "Put her here, and then you're going to tell me exactly what you've gotten yourself into." As advanced diagnostic equipment hummed to life, Rook explained everything: finding Naira, the chase, her ability to interface with technology. Jasper listened in silence, her augmented fingers dancing over holographic displays. She's not the first, Jasper said finally. 3 months ago, another crystalline being came through here. She was running too, but from her own people as much as the core, called herself a harmony breaker. What happened to hers? Obsidian Corp found her, took her away. Jasper's cybernetic eyes narrowed. But not before she told me things about a civil war among her people, about what the corporations want with them. Naira stirred on the table, her glow intensifying. The schism, her mental voice reached them both now, stronger but filled with pain. The harmony, corrupted, must warn. Save your strength, Rook started, but Naira's form pulsed with urgent light. My people, the harmony, meant to share knowledge, energy, life, but some wanted more, wanted to weaponize, to sell our power to corporations, to become living batteries. Images flooded their minds. Crystal cities torn apart by conflict, beings like Naira forced into machines, their energy drained to power corporate fleets and weapons. The harmony splintering, some embracing the corruption, others fighting it. You're a rebel, Jasper realized, fighting against your own people's collaboration with the core. The last of the true harmony, Naira's glow flickered. Carrying the original code, the pure connection must reach others before too late. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Jasper's augmented eyes flashed as she accessed security feeds. Multiple corporate vessels docking, heavy combat units, they found you. Rook drew his salvager's pistol for all the good it would do against corporate troops. How we were careful. Because I told them, a new voice said. They turned to see a figure in the doorway, another crystalline being, but one whose form was shot through with black veins, their glow a sickly purple. Hello, sister, the harmony sends its regards. Naira's fear and recognition washed over them all. Brother, Sentinel Vex, why? Progress requires sacrifice, the corrupted crystalline being said, corporate troops filing in behind him. The age of pure harmony is over, it's time to evolve. Rook stepped between them, weapon raised. Sorry, but evolution's not on today's schedule. What happened next was chaos. Jasper slammed her hand on a hidden panel, plunging the clinic into darkness. Emergency lights cast everything in blood-red shadows as corporate troops opened fire. Rook dove behind medical equipment, returning shots more to create confusion than with any hope of hitting anything. Through it all, Naira's voice rang in his mind. The port, emergency release, trust me. Understanding hit him. Jasper, override the docking clamps on my mark. His friend's acknowledgement came as a flash of her cybernetic eyes in the darkness. Rook fired his remaining shots, then grabbed Naira and ran for the emergency airlock. Behind them, Sentinel Vex's corrupt crystal form pulsed with deadly energy. And now, as Rook yelled, the docking clamps released with an explosive bang. Emergency force field snapped up as the section decompressed, sending corporate troops tumbling. But Naira's power surged through Rook, creating a crystalline shield around them both as they were pulled into space. The Wanderlust, responding to Naira's energy, swooped beneath them. They crashed through an emergency hatch, alarms blaring as the ship's systems resealed and repressurized. Get us out of here, Rook shouted, though whether to Naira or his ship he wasn't sure. Perhaps it was both, working in harmony as the Wanderlust's engines roared to life. They fled into the darkness of space, leaving behind a station in chaos and a brother's betrayal. But they carried with them something precious, hope for a future where harmony meant more than power, where trust meant more than progress. And in the cockpit, as stars streaked past their viewport, Rook felt Naira's consciousness merge with his own, showing him visions of what could be if only they were brave enough to fight for it. The Wanderlust drifted in the radioactive clouds of the Perseus Nebula, its systems running silent. In the cargo hold, converted into a makeshift meditation chamber, Naira's crystalline form hovered cross-legged, surrounded by salvage tech components. Her glow pulsed steadily as she interfaced with the ship's communications array, searching for others like her. Rook watched from the doorway, noticing how the fractures in her crystal structure had begun to heal, forming intricate new patterns. She was stronger now, but so was the shadow haunting them. Every hyperspace jump brought more corporate pursuit ships, guided by Sentinel Vex's corrupted resonance. Found something, Naira's mental voice whispered. A signal, hidden in subspace frequencies, others survived. Where? Rook moved closer, the familiar tingle of their connection washing over him. Images formed in his mind, a hidden outpost built into an asteroid deep in unclaimed space. A gathering of crystalline beings, their forms still pure, untainted by corporate manipulation. Hope fragile as starlight. But Vex knows too, Naira's fear colored the vision. Can feel him following our search. Then we'll get there first. Rook squeezed her shoulder, crystal smooth under his palm. We'll warn them. The ship's sensors chirped a warning. Multiple vessels dropping out of hyperspace, sleek corporate hunters and something else, something that made the local space vibrate with wrongness. Sentinel Vex's flagship emerged from the nebula's clouds, its hull integrated with corrupted crystal technology. The sight made Naira physically recoil, her glow flickering with horror. What the corporations had done to her brother, turning him into a living weapon, was an abomination against everything the Harmony stood for. "Attention fugitive vessel," Vex's voice crackled through their comms, distorted by crystal resonance. "You've led us on quite a chase, sister, but now you'll help us complete the Harmony's evolution. All of you will." Rook's hands tightened on the ship's controls. "Any chance we can outrun them?" No. Naira's response held grim determination, "But perhaps we can outthink them." She pressed her hands against the ship's walls, and suddenly Rook's mind was flooded with understanding. The Perseus Nebula wasn't just a cloud of radioactive gas, it was alive with energy patterns similar to the Harmony's natural frequencies, with the right resonance. "It'll burn out half our systems," he warned, already adjusting power flows to match her plan. "And trust and together." Rook smiled despite their desperate situation, "always." The Wanderlust's engines howled as they dove deeper into the nebula, corporate ships in close pursuit. Naira's energy merged with the ship's systems, her consciousness expanding to touch the nebula itself. Through their connection, Rook felt it too, the vast, ancient patterns swirling through the cosmic cloud. Vex's flagship fired, crystal-enhanced weapons tearing space apart around them, but Naira was ready. Her power pulsed outward, harmonizing with the nebula's natural frequencies. The radioactive gases began to spiral, forming crystalline structures that grew and shattered and grew again. The corporate ships faltered, their sensors overwhelmed by the growing crystal storm. But Vex pressed on, his corrupted resonance fighting against Naira's pure harmonics. "Brother, stop this," Naira's plea echoed through space itself. "Remember what we were meant to be." "We were meant to be more." Vex's ship crashed through the crystal formations, closing the distance. "The corporations showed us true power, why cling to obsolete purity?" The Wanderlust shuddered as crystal shards battered its hull. Warning lights flashed across every console. They wouldn't survive much longer in the storm. But Rook noticed something through their shared consciousness. Vex's assault was weakening. The pure crystal formations were affecting him, resonating with what remained of his original form, fighting against the corruption. Now, Naira's power surged one final time, creating a perfect harmonic frequency that rippled through the nebula. The corporate ship systems overloaded, their crystal-based weapons backfiring. Vex's flagship stopped dead in space as the pure resonance washed over it, piercing the layers of corruption. For a moment everything was still. Then Vex's voice came again, different this time, clear, uncorrupted, filled with pain and remembrance. "Sister, I remember." "Come with us," Naira offered, her mental voice gentle despite her exhaustion. "Help us save the others." But it was too late. The corporate control systems in Vex's ship began to overload, fighting against his awakening. His next words were strained but determined. "Goes, warn them, I'll hold them here." "Brother, no." Vex's flagship turned to face the pursuing corporate fleet. The Harmony must survive, pure. The explosion lit up the nebula like a newborn star. When the light faded, the corporate ships were gone, scattered, or destroyed. And with them, Sentinel Vex, choosing one moment of true harmony over an eternity of corruption. In the Wanderlust's cargo hold, Naira wept crystals that chimed like broken bells. Rook held her as best he could, offering silent support as they limped away from the nebula. They had won this battle, but the war for the Harmony's soul was far from over. Somewhere ahead lay the hidden outpost and the last pure ones, and behind them more corporate ships would come, drawn by the promise of crystal power. But they would face it together, a human and a crystal being, proving that true harmony could exist between any souls brave enough to trust. As if agreeing, the nebula's light caught Naira's tears, sending rainbow refractions dancing through the ship like hopes yet to be born. The hidden outpost revealed itself like a crystal growing in darkness, a structure of impossible geometry carved into the heart of a rogue asteroid. As the Wanderlust approached, lights rippled across its surface in welcome, recognizing Naira's pure resonance. Home, she whispered in Rook's mind, what remains of it? The docking procedure was automatic, the asteroid systems interfacing seamlessly with Naira's energy. Inside, they found corridors of living crystal, humming with peaceful harmonies that made Rook's skin tingle. But beneath the beauty lay tension. These were survivors, the last uncorrupted members of a dying race. They were met by Sentinel Prime Lyra, her crystalline form towering and ancient, scored with battle scars that caught the light like prisms. Other crystal beings gathered behind her, their forms varying in size and complexity but all pure, untainted. Sister Naira, Lyra's mental voice reached them all. We felt your battle in the nebula, felt Vex's return to purity and his sacrifice. Naira bowed her head, crystal chimes ringing softly in mourning. He remembered at the end, remembered what we truly are. And what are you? Rook asked quietly. After everything they'd been through, he deserved to know. Lyra turned to him, her faceted eyes seeming to peer into his soul. We are memory, human. We are knowledge-given form. Each of us contains part of our people's vast history, science, and wisdom shared through the harmony. Which is why the corporations want you, Rook understood. Living databases they can drain and exploit. More than that, Naira added, we are evolution itself. The ability to merge consciousness with technology to transform energy into life and back again, in the wrong hands. We've seen what happens in the wrong hands, Rook growled, remembering Vex's corrupted form. Lyra's glow pulsed with approval. Few humans understand as you do, Rook Blackwood. Fewer still would risk everything to save one not their kind. But their reunion was cut short by alarms echoing through the crystal corridors. A massive corporate fleet had appeared at the edge of the system, dozens of ships, led by 3 massive dreadnoughts retrofitted with corrupted crystal technology. They followed your resonance trail, Lyra said, but without accusation. It was inevitable, we've prepared for this day. The corporate commander's transmission reached them on all frequencies. Crystalline beings of the pure harmony, your resistance to progress ends now. Surrender for integration or be destroyed. You have 10 minutes to decide. Rook looked at the tactical displays, his heart sinking. Even with the asteroid's defenses, they were hopelessly outnumbered. There has to be a way out. There is, Naira's voice held both sadness and determination, but you won't like it. She shared her plan through their mental connection. Rook immediately protested, no, it's suicide. It's evolution, she corrected gently, what we were meant to be all along. Lyra's crystal form resonated with sudden understanding. The great integration, it's not meant for corruption or power. But for transformation, Naira finished. All of us joining as one, becoming something new, something that can never be captured or corrupted. What about you? Rook demanded. What happens to who you are now? Naira touched his face, her crystal fingers cool against his skin. I will become more than I am, we all will. And part of me will always remember you, Rook Blackwood, who taught me that harmony exists between all souls willing to trust. The corporate fleet began moving into attack position. Time was running out. Stand with us, Naira offered, one last time. Rook took her hand, ignoring the tears blurring his vision. Always. What happened next defied description. The crystal beings gathered in the asteroid's heart, their forms beginning to pulse with blinding light. Rook and the Wanderlust added their energy through Naira's connection, completing a circuit of power that had waited eons to be closed. The corporate fleet opened fire, but too late. The asteroid itself began to transform, its structure becoming pure energy, pure consciousness, pure harmony. The crystal beings merged not into a weapon or a power source, but into something transcendent, a new form of existence that bridged the gap between matter and energy, between individual and community, between what was and what could be. The corporate ships' corrupted crystal tech overloaded in the presence of this pure evolution, their weapons and systems burning out. They retreated in disarray, leaving behind a site that would become legend in the space lanes. A new celestial phenomenon, a crystalline nebula that sang with impossible harmonies. The Wanderlust drifted at its edge, its hull still reverberating with echoes of the transformation. Rook stood at the viewport, his hand pressed against the glass, watching patterns of light dance through the crystal clouds. And sometimes, when the light hit just right, he could have sworn he saw Naira's face in the formations. could have sworn he felt her consciousness brush against his own, sharing memories of trust freely given and harmony hard-won. The nebula became a sanctuary, its very existence proof that evolution meant more than power, that progress meant more than profit, that love meant more than logic. Ships passing through reported strange effects, ancient conflicts resolving themselves, broken systems healing, lost souls finding peace. The corporations never returned. Some things they learned couldn't be controlled or corrupted. Some things could only be witnessed, wondered at, and remembered. And on the Wanderlust's bridge, Rook Blackwood smiled at the lights dancing through space, knowing that somewhere in that vast crystalline consciousness, Naira smiled back. Different now, but still herself. Still teaching the universe that true harmony wasn't about power or purity. It was about trust, about connection, about the space between souls where love could grow like crystals in the dark. The Salvager and the Starthing, forever part of each other's story. Forever proof that the most precious things in the universe couldn't be salvaged, stolen, or sold. They could only be shared, freely and in trust, creating harmonies that would echo through the stars until the end of time itself.